Twice as Good with Hadley and Delaney is brought to you by Mila. Immer besser, forever better. Mila. And by Cuties. Cute you can eat. Cuties. And by Kitchen Works. Wherever we go, that's where the party's at. Kitchen Works.
As always, don't forget the first 4 rules of kids cooking. 1. Wash your hands. 2. Ask an adult for help, especially with hot items, sharp utensils, and appliances. 3. Don't be afraid to try new ingredients, especially if they are green. And 4. Have fun. These 4 rules make cooking twice as healthy and twice as good. And this is Twice as Good. Today we are in San Antonio, Texas. We'll be exploring the historical roots and culinary aspects of the Tex-Mex tradition, and we'll be cooking authentic Tex-Mex dishes at the Mi Tierra Café, a landmark restaurant located just a few blocks from San Antonio's Riverwalk. Between recipes, we'll also visit some intriguing local sites to give you a flavor for San Antonio's culture and its rich history. Before we dive into our first dish, let's learn a little bit more about this amazing place and why this is the perfect city from which to explore the Tex-Mex tradition. The city of San Antonio is located on the banks of the San Antonio River. Both the river and the city were named by Spanish explorers after St. Anthony. We're starting our day at San Antonio's famous Riverwalk, also known as the Paseo del Rio. The Riverwalk is lined with shops and restaurants, making it one of the city's busiest destinations. It's a strictly pedestrian street. No cars allowed. Thanks to a series of bridges and walkways, Riverwalk connects some of San Antonio's most exciting cultural sites and beautiful natural attractions. Before settlers arrived in San Antonio, the region was inhabited by the Payaya tribe. In the 1690s, Spanish explorers began claiming the territory. And in the early 1800s, many Americans in search of farms made their way east where land was abundant. By the 1820s, almost 3,000 Americans had settled in what today is Texas. But in those days, Texas was still part of Mexico. The Mexican government awarded huge land grants to empresarios, who were sent back east to recruit even more settlers. Some of these men went on to become hugely influential in Texas history. Stephen F. Austin, the most notable impresario, held great sway with both the Mexican government and the settlers. The capital of Texas, Austin, was named in his honor. By 1834, more than 1,000 Americans per month were pulling up stakes and moving to Texas. The influence of the Spanish, Mexicans, and Native Americans is still very much part of the way of life in San Antonio, and nowhere is that better reflected than in the city's culinary scene. San Antonio is famous for its Tex-Mex cuisine. Tex-Mex food is a fusion of Spanish, Mexican, and Texas cooking traditions, which are all central to the city's heritage. According to food historians, Tex-Mex cuisine originated centuries ago when Spanish, Mexican, and American pioneered cooking techniques and ingredients began to cross cultures. Mexican chefs in Texas began to incorporate Texas ingredients and flavor profiles, and vice versa. Chile, for example, combines one of the cowboys' main staples, beef, with traditional Mexican red beans. As the culinary cultures merged, new dishes like enchiladas, tamales, and tortillas were created. Later, burritos, nachos, fajitas, and huevos rancheros combined the best of both cultures. This cross-cultural food phenomenon truly took off and is now enjoyed all across the country. But it all got started in Texas, and that's why we couldn't be more thrilled to be heading over to sample some authentic Tex-Mex fare at Mi Tierra Café, a staple San Antonio family-run restaurant that's been a favorite of Texas natives and visitors for 75 years. Mi Tierra is Spanish for my land. Back in 1941, Pete and Cruz Cortez opened the 3C Cafe to feed San Antonio farm workers who got up at the crack of dawn to begin their busy workday.
Thank y'all so much for coming over. I cannot wait to show you some of our family's favorite recipes and some of the best things on our menu. We're gonna start with a great appetizer and a good beginning to any meal or family gathering or barbecue with friends. We're gonna make guacamole. So we're gonna start with these avocados over here, but go ahead and scoop them out with the spoon right into this bowl. They come from California and Mexico, but they're also really good for you. They've got more potassium than even a banana has. So the way to pick an avocado, you want them to be kind of firm, not mushy, but give a little bit of give to the touch.
Hold the avocado in the palm of your hand. Use your palm and the base of your fingers to apply gentle, even pressure to the avocado, being careful not to press with your fingertips, as this can cause bruising. A ripe avocado will be soft and will yield to the gentle pressure. The skin should give slightly, but should not remain indented. If the avocado is overly squishy, it is overripe. If it is hard, then it is underripe and will take a few days to ripen.
I need someone to mash this right over here. You want to mash these kind of chunky, and I'm going to have y'all add about half of those diced tomatoes and half of these diced onions right here. And so we've got tomatoes, onions, and jalapenos, which that's what they call the trinity of Mexican cuisine.
Our brother loves to make guacamole.
It's so fun. What does he put in his guacamole?
He puts sriracha sauce, and he puts onions and peppers as well.
See, guacamole is one of those things that you can be really, really creative with. So you can we've added bacon to it, you can add queso fresco to it, you can even add strawberries to it. It's all sorts of different things. So go ahead and add however much jalapeno you want to add. That's a good medium amount. And then we're also gonna add that lime juice that's sitting right over there. So one of the things with jalapenos and some other fruits and vegetables is they will turn brown if you don't add any sort of acid to it. So we add lime juice because not only does it balance out the flavor, give it a nice little tang, but it also prevents it from turning brown.
Lime juice is acidic, and when added, it lowers the pH of guacamole. At this lower pH, the chemical reactions that cause food to brown do not happen, and certain other bacteria are inhibited, making lime juice an effective short-term preservative.
So now that we've got our tomatoes, onions, jalapenos, our lime juice so it doesn't turn brown, we're gonna add one of the last ingredients, which is a little bit of cilantro. So I'm gonna pull this over here, and I wanna show you a little bit of trick to cut cilantro. You've got all these stems everywhere, right? You wanna roll it up. I want you to help me out, and you can hold it with one hand like this, and then chop it with the other hand. Yep, perfect.
Cilantro is my favorite herb.
It's in a lot of different cuisines too. Not only do they use it in Asia, they use it in Mexican cuisine, Thai food. It's one of those really versatile herbs. So we're gonna add the cilantro right over here, and I'm gonna add a little bit of salt, and I want y'all to fold it over, just stir it up.
Okay.
Some of my favorite things to eat guacamole with, well, of course there's chips, but can't eat chips every day. So I like to also slice up some cucumbers or jicama or even turnips or carrots and use that as a dip also. And let's pour some over here.
And it smells so good. It
You can
smells like lime
smell all the
juice.
cilantro and lime juice and
Cilantro.
fresh ingredients. And it was so easy to make, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
There we go. I like to put a little chip in the middle. So do y'all want to try some of this guacamole that we just made?
Sure. This is so incredible.
Awesome.
The Alamo began as one of the first Spanish missions in Texas. It played a crucial role in the settlement of San Antonio and the Southwest. It's best remembered today as the site of one of the most legendary battles in the history of the state of Texas. Before it became a state, Texas was actually a republic. It had its own laws and its own government. The people who lived in this republic were called Texians. In the mid-1830s, Texas and Mexico were at war with each other over who owned the territory. In late February of 1836, the forces of Mexico, led by General Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna, laid siege to the Texian stronghold at the Alamo. The battle lasted for 13 days, and nearly 200 men who bravely fought to defend the mission, including Davy Crockett and Jim Bowie, were killed. While the battle was a terrible defeat, it inspired Texians. In April of 1836, they defeated the Mexican forces at the Battle of San Jacinto, a battle which led to the eventual end of the conflict. Texas became a state in December of 1845. That's when the Texians became Texans. Today, the Alamo is considered a shrine. No photography is allowed inside as a sign of respect to all who gave their lives so Texas could be free.
Now we're in front of the church. This is the Church of Mission San Antonio de Valero. And it existed as a mission church from 1745 to 1793. Do you see on this niche
Yes?
where it comes down to a V
Yes, I do.
and there's a little hole at the bottom?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah.
That hole was made by a cannonball
Really?
during the Battle of the Alamo.
Wow.
Now, do you notice the cap on top?
Yes.
It's rounded. That was not here at the battle. And what it did is create a very recognizable building that people around the world can see a picture of it and they go, oh, that's the Alamo. This area is the Convento courtyard. And during the battle, this area was actually used as a cattle pen. But they had a garden out here as well.
When was the Alamo built, Dr. Winders?
Well, the Alamo was built as a Spanish mission. And the construction began here in 1724. And what a mission was a school. But the idea is that this would then become a Spanish settlement or a Spanish town.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the famous Americans who fought at the Battle of the Alamo?
Well, the famous Americans that were here were actually famous at the time of the battle in 1836. And we're talking about David Crockett. There are plays written about him, there are books written about him, so he was already famous before he came here.
Are they real?
They're very real. And in fact, this gun that we're standing by was used at the Battle of the Alamo. This is called an 18-pounder, and that means that it fired a cannonball that weighed 18 pounds. The cannons that were damaged by the Mexican army were damaged to the point where they could not be used again.
What's the significance of the phrase, "Remember the Alamo"?
In 1836, the phrase, "Remember the Alamo," wasn't so much about the place, but it was remember the people who were killed at the Alamo, and we're not going to let their deaths count for nothing. We're going to make sure that something good comes out of this.
We're gonna make one of our famous Tex-Mex recipes, Carne Guisada, and it's been on the menu since my grandpa opened this restaurant back in 1941. So we're gonna start with some cubed beef, and this is chuck roast. And you can buy this at the grocery store already stewed up. Sometimes they call it stew meat. And we're gonna dump this in a crock pot. So this is another reason why this is one of my favorite recipes. Let me add some water to this first, and we're gonna turn this up. Let it cook right here. We've got these diced tomatoes. I want you to add about half of that. And those other tomatoes over there, so we actually cooked those and boiled them in water and made our own tomato puree. Tomatoes are one of those things, they're very good for you, but they get more flavor as they keep cooking. We're also gonna add some of the onions and bell peppers. And we can actually dump that whole thing in here. It'll give it even more flavor. Let's do a little bit of that jalapeno. You're not gonna taste any spice in this dish actually, but it gives it a little bit of flavor and rounds it out nicely. There we go, some salt.
Just a little bit.
And a little bit of pinch of pepper. And we can always add salt later on whenever we taste it before we serve it. And cumin, there we go. And then that garlic. So one little trick that you can do is blend the garlic with a little bit of water, or with your tomatoes, you can actually do that also. It'll actually permeate the sauce a little bit better. So I'm gonna stir this real quick. Here we go. And we're gonna go ahead and cover it for about 30 minutes. And while it's simmering, we're gonna go ahead and add a slurry to it.
A slurry is a combination of starch, usually cornstarch or flour, and cold water, which is mixed together and used to thicken a soup, stew, or sauce.
We're gonna let this slurry thicken up the sauce and cook it for about 2 more hours, and then we're gonna come back and make some delicious tacos. So now we're back, and this carne guisada has been simmering for 2 hours, and we're ready to make some yummy tacos. So we're gonna go ahead and take this off, give it a good little stir.
That looks
Smell
so
that.
good.
So I'm gonna make the first one, show y'all. You wanna get a little bit of gravy, a little bit of meat right here. And over the years, we've found out that people started ordering these with topping them off with a little bit of cheddar cheese. So I want y'all to go ahead and try that. About a mini handful. It's really just however much you want on there. That looks perfect.
I think that's good.
And so
Do we
we've got
roll
a
them
few
up?
of these. Yeah, let's go ahead and stack them next to each other. We'll make a plate of these. Do you want to try one of these tacos?
Yes, it looks so good. This is so good.
Now you know why it's been on our menu for so long.
Fiesta San Antonio is a fabulous celebration which takes place here each spring. 2016 marks Fiesta's 125th anniversary. Every April, close to 3.5 million people stream into San Antonio from around the state and around the world. The first fiesta took place in 1891. It was organized to commemorate the heroes of the Alamo and the Battle of San Jacinto. It consisted of a parade of women riding in fancy horse-drawn carriages who rode by the Alamo as they bombarded one another with flowers. These days, the fiesta encompasses many events. The Battle of the Flowers and the Fiesta Flambeau parades, along with a night in Old San Antonio, a taste of New Orleans, the All-American Canteen, and even a Fiesta Earth Day celebration.
We're gonna make our famous Tex-Mex cheese enchiladas. And we're gonna start with our gravy. So the basis of this gravy is a chili named chili ancho. So dried chilies, you have to treat a little bit differently. With dried chilies, you can actually open them up and you just shake them out right here. So once we've shaken out these seeds, you're gonna put them in water and boil them. And when the skins are nice and soft, you're gonna blend them in a blender with some water. So to start our gravy, we start with a little bit of beef and pork that's ground in this crock pot. And then you're gonna add a little bit of water to get it going. I would do about a pint. So do you wanna pour this right here in here for me? This is our chili puree. It's gonna give our gravy that nice, pretty dark color. And then we also have salt. Perfect. And we have black pepper, a little pinch of that. and our garlic that we had, like we used before, and we can dump all of that in.
And then the aromatic cumin.
Cumin. There you go, perfect. We can't forget our bay leaves right here.
Oh yes.
So we're gonna go ahead and add a slurry as well. This one's made of flour also. We're gonna add a little bit more water and let it cook for 30 minutes. And when we come back, we're gonna get to start the fun part and roll the enchiladas. So now we're back and we've let our chili meat gravy sizzle and simmer for about 30 minutes, and it's all set and ready to go. So we start with our corn tortillas, and you can get white or red, whatever you get at the grocery store. And remember we talked about our cheddar cheese before? Go ahead and pack it right in the middle, pull one side over, and roll it. So this is the enchilada color. Nice, and cover all the edges. And so why don't you all top that with a little bit of cheddar cheese? And it comes our last step. We're gonna bake those in the oven, and then we get to try them. So we just brought the enchiladas right out of the oven on this hot plate, so be very careful, but go ahead and try what you just made and let me know what you think.
That is so delicious. This is really good. You'll find spectacular views of San Antonio from several vantage points at the Tower of the Americas. How far can you see out there?
On a clear day, you can see about 25 miles straight out. You girls see that red? That was a gift to San Antonio from Mexico. It's called the Torch of Friendship. Well, when you come to the tower, you can, at the base of the tower, there's all the fountains that you girls saw, and then you can ride up in the elevator that takes a minute and a half to the observation deck. We have 6 panels, and they're educational panels on how Texas became Texas. So it talks about when it was Spain. At one time it was Mexico, at one time it was France. So it's been a lot of things before it became Texas.
When was the tower built and why?
The tower was built in 1968 for the World's Fair. It also was San Antonio's 250th anniversary. It has 3 levels. It has the restaurant, it rotates, so the restaurant takes an hour and a half from start to finish. It also has a lounge area, and then up here at the top where the observation deck is.
Are these all Mexican pastries?
Yes, Mexican pastries are an art of baking and really a tradition that we have, and we have our own bakery right here in our restaurant. So we're gonna start off and make some Mexican wedding cookies. We're gonna cream together some butter and pour these in here.
Is this powdered sugar?
Yeah, it's powdered sugar. So we're actually gonna use some powdered sugar to cream it together. And we're using some Mexican vanilla. And I'll take that over here and we'll turn this on. Let it get nice and mixed together. So let me go ahead and scrape this down. And I'm gonna open this up. You only wanna add half at a time. And whenever we turn this on, we're gonna put it on low. It's on stir first. So now that we've got halfway mixed, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it off again. And we're gonna put the rest in there. And the last thing we're gonna add to this are the pecans. Here we go. I'll help y'all out. Quick stir. And that's good. I'm gonna put this in the middle right here. There we go. Let's put it all together. I'm gonna grab a little piece of dough, roll it with your hands like this to a long little tube. And we're gonna go like this, make a little crescent. Let's make a few so we have plenty to share.
They're so perfect for a party.
And they're gonna look so pretty once they're done. Okay, the cookies just came out of the oven, and now comes the best part. We gotta decorate them. Let's go ahead and dunk them in this powdered sugar.
So just like this?
Uh-huh.
Do you want to try one of them now, Hadley? Sure.
They look beautiful.
This is really good. We've had a wonderful time in San Antonio, and we'll always remember our visit to the Alamo. Many thanks to Dr. Bruce Winders for helping us understand the true significance of the Alamo. And we also enjoyed learning about the Tower of the Americas from Jennifer Boland. We also want to express our appreciation to Chef Cortez and everyone at the Mi Tierra Café for sharing some wonderful and authentic Tex-Mex recipes with us today. We enjoyed everything we tasted and can hardly wait to try our hand at the Tex-Mex tradition when we get home. For more information about the dishes prepared on today's show, including a listing of ingredients and the recipes, please visit us at twiceasgoodshow.com. As always, don't forget the first 4 rules of kids cooking. 1. Wash your hands. 2. Ask an adult for help, especially with hot items, sharp utensils, and appliances. 3. Don't be afraid to try new ingredients, especially if they are green. And 4. Have fun. These 4 rules make cooking twice as healthy and twice as good.
Twice as Good with Hadley and Delaney is brought to you by Mila. Immer besser, forever better. Mila. And by Cuties. Cute you can eat. Cuties. And by KitchenWorks. Wherever we go, that's where the party's at. KitchenWorks.